I'm doing this because I believe what Jackson is doing is for a good cause, and I really do want to help somebody who's either been in my situation or been in a situation very similar to what I've been in, and I want to help them know that they're not alone and that there's other ways to handle different things. And it's kind of hard to start, so I guess the easiest way to do is start from the beginning. So in the beginning, most of my problems started when I was about 8. I had a friend, and it's definitely kind of hard to talk about because I've never mentioned this to anybody before this year. So it's just something I've never told anybody because I thought it was my fault that it happened. So when I was 8, I had a friend. She was as close as I could get with somebody just because I didn't really have anyone else I could go to and talk to. At the time, she was a neighbor, and so I'd go over there and she taught me things that I never knew about. She taught me things that no one told me anything about, and when she was showing me the things, I was very nervous and I didn't want to do anything, and she said it was my fault. Like, if I didn't want to do something, it was because it was something I was doing wrong, and that basically she made me feel worthless whenever I told her I didn't want to do anything. And looking back on it now, I realized that if I told somebody that about what was going on, I wouldn't have had to deal with what was going on either. It hopefully would have been fixed, and it was definitely hard to go through as a child just because I didn't know what was going on, and every time I was upset with what was going on, I talked to her about it, and it just seemed to make things worse, and it ended up making me feel like I was nothing and that I didn't really have a choice in what was going to happen because it was going to happen whether I wanted it or not. And from there, it just kind of kept the ball rolling, and it just started this track of me feeling lonely, me feeling like I was nothing, that no one would ever care about me. And as I got older, those feelings just stacked on top of each other and just seemed to get worse. So by one point in middle school, I just felt like I shouldn't be alive and that I was nothing and that everyone around me hated me, so the only way to make everyone happy was to take me out of the equation, and I tried to do that, and it didn't go well. A teacher found me. My arms were kind of cut up and so were my legs, and it was definitely a hard situation because when I went home to my family, everyone was mad at me, and I couldn't understand why they were mad at me. And dealing with that pain as a tween, I only thought they were mad because I didn't succeed. So I kept trying, and I kept those feelings to myself because I thought that because they were mad, the only way to fix it was to stay more in a box and just kind of make things simpler on them. And it worked for a little while, and things, of course, boiled up and over. And my family found out again that I wasn't doing great, and they ended up putting me put in, but they made me go to a psychiatrist and start talking about things like my feelings, and it made me angrier because I didn't have a choice in the matter. They were forcing me to go, and I didn't want to talk. I just wanted to go away. I didn't want to deal with any of that, and looking back on it now, I feel like if I told somebody about how I was feeling, it could have helped, but at the same time, it was something that I couldn't do because I felt like nobody wanted to listen to what I had to say. Everyone wanted me to tell somebody else, not them. And I kept dealing with that until I was about 16 when my dad and my stepmom, I moved in with them. And my stepmom wasn't the nicest person in the world. She was very angry, and she always took out most of her feelings on either me or my dad. My dad let her. He didn't mind when she would do that. He would just go and drink, and he would forget about it. And there was times where he would drink so much he would kind of forget what he would do or anything that he would say, and it kind of hurt because he would pull me in and tell me things that I didn't want to know, and like he would always go off on me and yell at me for no reason, really. And my stepmom would either help him, or whenever he was done yelling at me, she would go in and finish anything off. And one time I got like full of it, and I was tired and of being pushed around, and I told her to stop, and she didn't like that. So she kicked me out. She told me that she didn't want me in her apartment anymore, and my dad didn't really say anything to it. So I packed up what I could and put it in my car at the time and just kind of searched for a place to stay. For the first few weeks, I really didn't know where to go, so I just stayed in my car. Didn't really ask for help. There were, like, at the time, I was going to take showers in my high school. I was using their gym to stay clean, make it look like I was living with family, and I never told anyone what was going on. And I couldn't control what was going on in my head, and the feeling of self-doubt and the feeling of being lost was one of the things I was dealing with at the time. I couldn't tell anybody that I was living in my car because I knew it would end up affecting my dad. Because I was 16, I was a minor, and anything that would have happened would have been on my dad, and I didn't want him to go through that. So I just stayed quiet and I didn't tell anybody. I was just kind of living on my own, and at the time I was still looking for friends to let me stay the night. And I finally found a few places to stay, and during that time a lot of them weren't the best places to stay. Most of them were places where I should never have been, and I was in situations I shouldn't have been in for my age. But I thought it was better than being in my car. And I didn't realize I could have gone to the school counselor and they would have found me a place to stay at the time. Or I could have gone to my mother, who was in a different part of Texas, and I could have moved in with her. But I didn't think about what to do. I just thought about what I wanted to do, which I wanted to stay where I was. I wanted to finish out high school, and it was a very hard situation for me to deal with because I didn't know where I was supposed to go at the time. And I was trying my best to make the right decisions, but I didn't know what decisions to make. And because of that, I put myself in homes that were very either abusive or they were taking control of me, and they didn't want money. They wanted me to like do things for them, and it wasn't like sexual favors. It was just me just kind of doing whatever they tell me to. And I wish now that I told somebody and I was able to get into a better home where I didn't have to worry about where I was going to stay the next night, or I didn't have to worry about who I was going to stay with the next night, or if the person I was staying with was going to let me stay another night. It was something that I had to deal with every night, thinking, okay, well, tomorrow I guess I'll figure out where I'll stay tomorrow night, or I'll figure out next week. And eventually, I think about a year, I finally was able to move in with my mother, and things got better, and I kind of stirred away from my different kind of problems, especially my mental problems. So I just kind of ignored them more than I did try to like fix them, and it didn't help. You can only ignore problems for so long before they kind of build up and explode. And one of my biggest things is I suffer with depression, and there's times where I'm fine, and it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be a day, it could be an hour, it could be almost a year before I feel it come back. And I was living with my mom, and I thought I was fine. I thought it was just because of the situation I was in that my head was kind of messed up because of that. But it wasn't because of that, it just helped bring it out. So whenever I left that, I didn't really think about what was going on, so I thought I was fine. And about a year later, I ran into a problem. I had suicidal thoughts, and I couldn't explain why. Like, I was just laying in bed, and I was thinking about how I didn't want to get up. And I took pills to make me sleep. I ended up sleeping in my bed for about 3 days before my mom came upstairs and to check on me. She was worried that I wasn't okay, and I wasn't. I was hoping if I slept enough, I wouldn't have to worry about waking up ever again, and I didn't want to tell her that. And it's still something I have a hard time admitting to now, because I love my mom so much. She's done so much for me. She's been one of the few people here by my side during this whole time. And even when I pushed her away, she's still been here. She's been trying to help me understand what's going on with my problems, like my mental problems, and most of it is depression, and then I also suffer from anxiety. My biggest problem with anxiety is that it comes at any time, and it lasts for hours, and my anxiety attacks don't really come on in normal places. I can't go to movie theaters without having a panic attack, because I feel like somebody's gonna come in and shoot me, or stab me, or or the person walking up the stairs is gonna come up and attack me. I can't have fun enjoying some things because it bothers me to a point where I start freaking out and panicking that something bad's gonna happen, or I can't sleep because somebody is in my house. I have irrational problems about someone breaking in and killing me while I'm asleep, or poison gas coming in through my ventilations, and that comes with my anxiety.